Hello, I'm Ashka. I am the product manager at CPC overseeing the DrumQuik product line, and I'm here today with
Evan Belanzo, your Northeast Regional Manager with CPC. And today, we're here to talk to you about DrumQuik Pro. So first thing first with the DrumQuik, we're gonna start with the drum. All right, here we have ourselves a plastic drum. Very typical for what you see. Another thing you might see is an IBC tote, maybe a 20-liter jerry can, or perhaps a metal drum. First thing to note here is that this is a complete setup illustrating with a diaphragm pump of a typical pumping procedure. Now, this end may look different depending upon your needs and your operation, but the principle would remain the same. So here is a fully installed DrumQuik Pro, and we'll break that down a little bit here for you.
So when you order a DrumQuik Pro, you're going to order a few different parts. You're going to start with your drum insert that is going to come with a shipping plug installed in there, and that's going to make this suitable for any long-term storage or transportation needs. This is going to be inserted into your drum along with a dip tube to facilitate any fluid movement out of the drum.
One special thing to note about your drum is that this gasket right here will differ depending upon the type of material that you're mating to. So for the plastics we're dealing with here today are a flat gasket, but if you have a metal drum, you'll be looking at this round gasket here. And there are different part numbers for this assembly for that. So when you receive your drum insert and you've ordered the correct gasket to go with your drum, it'll come like this. That's when we take our dip tube, install that, short just for illustration. And this would be done at your chemical handling site, your filling site. One quick thing to note about your dip tube, we do offer them in multiple lengths depending upon the length that you require. So a drum versus a tote will come with a different length here. Also note that these are able to be cut to length. They come a little long so that they'll bend to the bottom corner to make sure that the user gets as much of that chemistry out of the bottle, out of the drum, out of the tote as possible. Something like that. And here we'll take the special CPC tool with the bung wrench and make sure that's snugged down. Don't need to go crazy here. When you get it from your chemical handler, you take your screwdriver, pop that bad girl open, and install your coupler. Just push down and twist. And that will open the valve and enable your fluid to flow. We're moving. All right, Ashka, why don't you tell the people about our little accessories we got here?
There's a whole bunch of accessories. So, starting on the drum insert side of things, we have a foot valve that can be attached to the dip tube to limit the backflow from the dip tube back into the drum. We also have some physical keying options for the DrumQuik coupler and drum insert. So these are physical keys that will make sure the right connection is made every time. These have little grooves on them. One would go on your drum coupler and the other would go on the drum insert, making sure that physically no other connections can be made.
This is important when you have multiple chemistries next to each other. Say in your fill station, instead of one drum or one tote, you got 4 or 5. It's critical you don't cross your acid with your base or have any contamination. That's where that type of system comes in handy. Also with a color cap on your coupler that stays here, so you get that visual indication, and that would also be matched with that colored insert there. So you have several visual cues of what's going on for your operator as well.
On the DrumQuik coupler, there are 2 main ports. One is typically used for output of the fluid that you're running through your drum, and the other one is for some kind of blanket gas to be filling back into the drum to pressurize the drum to flow outwards.
It could also be used as a simple vent port with our little vent filter shown here that will allow makeup air back in without allowing any particulate. But say you have a caustic media inside where the fumes could be dangerous or harmful to an operator, well then you don't want that vent port. You want something like this check valve here, which, as the name implies, is a check valve, which will allow makeup air back in, but will not allow those internal fumes out. Another third option that we have here is you could use a coupling. One of our quick connect couplings would be able to thread right in, and then you'd be able to use a quick disconnect to make that connection to your blanket gas or whatever it is that you have going on. So in this setup here, we're using a diaphragm pump that is physically pulling fluid out of the dip tube, up through the coupler, out through the pump, and doing its thing. In a blanket gas situation, that could be where you have pressurized air coming in and an air pump effectively pressurizing the tank and pushing that fluid up and out your fluid port. So again, depending upon your operational needs, we got you covered. We have our DrumQuik Pro and we have our DrumQuik Pure. This is really the same system. Only thing different here is the flare connections, opposed to the threaded or barbed connections that are available, designed for aggressive chemicals, say for your semicon or your pharmaceutical processes where high purity is paramount. FKM, FKM seals, PTFE encapsulated seals, where you require only the best of the best for your chemical process.
And there you have it. That's the DrumQuik Pro system, making chemical handling safe, clean, and effective.
How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? All right. G'day! No, that one's just for fun.
And there you have it. That's the DrumQuik Pro chemical handling system, making chemical handling. DrumQuik.
SEO, SEO.
Where we have 2 keys.